All right, guys, incoming Battletech question. Do you need a GM, a game master, to play Battletech? And I was recently asked this from a new player looking to explore Battletech with some role-playing, some RPG experience, and they were bouncing back and forth between Battletech, the role-playing game, and utilizing some of the miniatures into that role-playing game. Not necessarily the full battle of Battletech out there, and then leading in naturally, well, what about playing full Battletech? So I see this as two options here. And in thinking this over, the first option is definitely something that I've been meaning to explore for a long time. So I'm going to put that on the top of my list to look at and play at this year. Battletech has this duality of it is a well-established role-playing game. It is also a tabletop war game on there. And while the two exist, I won't say they want to exist, while the two exist separately, they bolt in seamlessly. So you can play the role-playing game, that whole narrative, and then literally when things go to combat or there's an encounter or that aspect of the game where now you have to engage as mech warriors, you can go over to the tabletop combat game, the war game on there, and back and forth. And I've been wanting to do that for a long time because that's really exciting. It pulls in seamlessly two of my favorite hobbies, role-playing games and Battletech on there, war games, role-playing games and war games. And even having, if your perspective, if your group is not one of like, look, I'm not a hardcore role player, I like war games, it could be a little mini game ahead of time. It could be like a role-playing light session where these things happen, you make some checks, you do a couple of things, it reveals some mission information on there, gives you a little intel on the mission, and then you go out and play on the tabletop. Another way to possibly explore Battletech, and this is going to pull from my experiences a number of years ago playing Warhammer 40,000 when it was Rogue Trader. When it was first introduced, it was... I hesitate to call it a war game because certainly it utilized miniatures, it utilized terrain, there were tables, there was lots of rolling of dice, there were minor heroes, there were major heroes, but there was also this component of ideally, you had a game master writing the mission, writing the scenario, and then both sides playing that scenario out. And as they played the scenario out, additional information was revealed. The classic example was that in Rogue Trader, the game master had miniatures representing monsters, Xenos, aliens, other factions that they would play on the table at certain points. So you and I could be battling it out, and I could run up and kind of hide in this group of trees to get cover or to set up my heavy weapons team, and an amble monster just busts out of there, so the GM would put the miniature on the table. Well, this is a living planet. This is a living ecosystem, a living game world on here, and this amble was just chilling out in the forest, and a battle breaks out, and you roll up on there. Other opportunities were like robots that you could then activate. I mean, a really rich narrative story. So Battletech could be explored from that perspective, where you have two sides, and a game master controls maybe a third side. A example off the top of my head, some lost tech was discovered. House Karita, House Davian, they're going in, they're going to get it, but there's also a little mercenary group that's just going to try and make a cash and grab, run in there, grab it, get out. So maybe the GM plays that mercenary group and inserts it at a certain point on there. Or if you're playing a mercenary company, maybe the GM comes in over the comm and is like, this is another mercenary company. I want to buy out your contract, right? A lot of little things that they can introduce to play there that both players wouldn't be aware of, and that both players have to adopt and really kind of navigate on the side. So we've got two systems, literally a dedicated war game, a dedicated role-playing game, a dedicated war game, and the two can bolt on together. So really the question is, why not explore that?